7 dreamers. You must understand that they were not professional dreamers. This is how the novelization, written by Alan Dean Foster, described the crew of the Nostromo on their return trip to Earth, hauling much-needed non-renewable resources. They wake up from a deep slumber for an unexpected mission. All the pods open, resembling between the mechanical and the organic. Cain is the first to awake from hypersleep. He emerges from a white cocoon, as if he's going through a metamorphosis. What is interesting, in the book, Cain is the last to wake up. This is because Cain loves to sleep and would sleep forever if he had the choice. The book goes so far to have his crewmates poke fun at him. The film is able to portray Cain's affinity for the dream world when he is the only one awake. He is shown in a very long, tedious cut, one after the other, something few directors, editors, and cinematographers will have the patience for. While we read this as his struggle to wake up, it is faithful to the book, and I presume the script's original idea that Cain is a sleepwalker. Cain volunteers to explore the alien planet with Dallas and Lambert. He sees firsthand a surreal, dreamlike landscape, exploring the derelict alien ship like someone who dreams. He scours the labyrinths and is the one who discovered the passage deep into the ship's hold. Cain descends into a nightmarish world, hanging by a thread, so to speak. Like images in a dream, he can make out the symbols, but not the context, not the meaning. There is no logic behind the eggs. As Cain is the first to wake up, he becomes the first to go to sleep, living a real nightmare. While the crew discuss and debate their next moves, Cain remains asleep, and little different than the mechanics that fed him oxygen, keeping him alive. The facehugger keeps him alive. When Cain is revived, he tells his crew all what he remembers is a terrible dream. Cain's consciousness and dream world intertwine, but little did he know he was going through a real metamorphosis and gave birth to the xenomorph from one life form into another. Cain is put to sleep for the final time and is wrapped in burial cloth, all white like a cocoon, and is sent off into space, forever drifting, forever asleep. Next up is the ship's captain, Dallas. By his very title, an elevated position of management, he's one of my favorite characters. In 1979, when we thought about spacefaring captains, we had Captains Kirk and Han Solo. So it's only natural to put our hopes in the captain of the ship. Dallas comes across as easygoing and very pragmatic. The book describes him as unorthodox because of the beard he wears while in hypersleep. While that particular detail doesn't come through in the film, we do see him enjoy loyalty and unquestioned leadership. He speaks softly most of the time, relies on his fellow crew to put down Parker's vocal opposition to go on a search and rescue mission. Like the famous Captain Kirk, he's not afraid to lead an away mission. While there's no references to Star Trek whatsoever, Dallas's character lives up to our expectations of an adventurous hero, searching, exploring, leading. But Dallas is not infallible. In fact, he made 2 disastrous decisions. The first, understandable to propel the story, is breaking quarantine protocol by bringing Cain inside the ship. His second was deciding to take off before all repairs were made. As Ripley warned him, they were still blind on B and C decks. Their ability to have the xenomorph on surveillance were hindered. Dallas steps up and plays the hero, deciding it would be him to pursue the xenomorph. He overrides Ripley, who volunteered. What makes this choice interesting? When Dallas traversed the claustrophobic air shafts, he was not prepared, and he knew it. Parker embodies strength, confidence, and common sense. He is someone we can relate to, for those of us who aren't commanding a spaceship. He shows bravery and defiance, but also Parker is one who spouts common sense. Parker wonders why Cain isn't put back into the freezer. He gives good advice about not killing the facehugger due to its acidic blood. He warns everyone. The xenomorph is big. Parker shows he has a sense of humor, has legitimate concern about pay and worker safety, but shows humility when he's forced to concede in front of his crewmates. This is why Parker is my favorite character, because behind his strength and seniority, he's a working man and can be put under the thumb of the company. Watching the film, I try to find clues unique to his personality. The one that sticks out is him eating. He enjoys the mess hall more than others and is seen walking around with a tray of food. Is there a connection? In the book, it is explained that the xenomorph was able to meet its nutritional needs by raiding food storage. In other words, it ate a lot. Was Parker the most qualified opponent, or did it foreshadow he would die by the bite? Brett was one of the lower-keyed characters of the Nostromo, whose favorite catchphrase was "right." An engineering technician, he didn't have the seniority of Parker, but the journeyman laborer wasn't without skill or commentary. He was a quiet man who only wanted to work and get home, and spent most of his time literally in Parker's shadow. This is why his fate was most sad. His one mistake, letting Jones the cat escape from the net. Parker, his best friend, sent him away. It's almost an act of punishment, his walk of shame, to wander the shadows alone. Brett, the quiet man, who never wanted adventure or fame, was the first to see the size and veracity of the xenomorph. Parker was too late to save his friend. Lambert is often described as the voice of the audience, coming up with what seemed like reasonable solutions if one was emotionally distraught. Interesting that the novelization devoted one short paragraph to her. In the film, she is clearly the opposite of Parker. While Parker represents who we want to be if we found ourselves alone in a spaceship with an alien creature, Lambert represents who we would most likely be like, afraid, panicking, more looking to flee than fight. Her entire persona practically foreshadowed how she would die. Ash is the ship's science officer, a last-minute replacement sent by the company to secure, retrieve, and protect the alien. We see he's not quite embraced by the other crew members. He's smart, by the book smart, and diligent, but can't help but look somewhat awkward. And awkward is how the book portrays him. On the surface, he seems very faithful to Dallas, backing him up on every decision. We would learn later why. His alternative motives belong to the company and not his captain. Ash and Ripley never got along. They were always bickering. Each time, Ripley's importance, even stature, was elevated. Simply being herself stood between Ash and his programming. I say programming because Ash was a robot. With his objectives in jeopardy, he goes berserk and attacks Ripley and Parker before getting his literal head knocked off. The novelization goes much further with Ash's cooperation with the xenomorph. He rescues it from being blown out of the airlock. Ash even dissuades the others from abandoning ship, suggesting that both Cain and Dallas could be alive. The book had a long, extensive conversation between the head of Ash and the rest of the surviving crew. The film, while true to the spirit, was condensed. Ash shows sterile admiration of the alien while giving his honest advice to the others. Ash existed for the alien. It was an irony that he ended in the flames, meant for the monster he protected. Finally, we come to Ripley, obviously the hero of the film as we all remember. But if we take a closer look, her role was very minor, even insignificant early in the film. When she does make an appearance, it's an annoyance as shown by Parker and Brett down below. Third in command, it wasn't made explicit until the middle of the film. But there's a hint of Ripley's importance when Dallas, Cain, and Lambert leave the ship. Ripley shows initiative at the expense of Ash's comfort by suggesting she goes after them when she fears the alien distress signal is more of a warning. It's the first of many confrontations with the science officer. They have an indirect confrontation about Dallas's command to break quarantine, but come face to face about it later. When the facehugger releases Cain, the two argue again about the danger it poses to the ship. As Ash argues, it's not a zombie. Ripley slowly becomes the center of the story when she challenges Dallas's judgment. After Dallas is killed, she openly mocks, demeans, and belittles Ash, and reminds him that she's in charge. The xenomorph was not the only threat to the crew of the Nostromo. Truth was also a threat. Ripley, taking the computer console chair, discovers the true nature of their mission. Learning more than Dallas, she becomes someone Ash can no longer coerce or manipulate. Ripley is not yet an action hero. She's not a formidable opponent and puts up no physical resistance when Ash attacks her. Through her escape from the Nostromo, she's practicing avoidance and does not have the time nor the ability to take on the alien. Even in the shuttle, she practices evasion, caution, and thinks her way out of a terrifying situation. Moments like these, we see Alien is a horror movie just set in space, and Ripley plays the vulnerable character. This is why her physical actions are emotionally amplified. With each press of a button, it's like a heavyweight boxer landing a punch. She has to talk her way through, keeping calm, something the audience is doing that very moment. Her one moment of violent outreach made effective catharsis. Ripley's victory only gives her another opportunity to sleep, another chance to dream. Let me know in the comments below, who were your favorite characters? Was there one you most identified with? I realize that there are many good channels out there discussing the Alien franchise, and if you made it this far, I thank you. Like, share, or subscribe if you want to see more content like this one. This is Mr. G from Synergy saying, don't underestimate the benefits of quarantine.